I'd like to start this video off with a scale. It's something that I like to call the scale of investment. At the very bottom, only one step up from no interest, we have curiosity. You have a mild interest in the subject. Maybe you haven't touched on it before, or maybe you've only seen it in passing, but it's something you feel would be worth exploring, at least for the moment. And if it turns out you enjoy it, you move up the scale to the next point, interest. You've dabbled in a subject long enough to know that you like it, and you enjoy spending a little bit of your free time exploring more of it. It's still just a small piece of your life right now, but you feel your connection with the subject growing, which might lead you to the next point on the scale, hobby. The subject has now become a part of your life, even a part of your identity, and you purposefully set aside some time to delve further into the subject. It's something that you use to unwind at the end of the day or pass the time when you have a gap in your schedule, and right now, it's quite comforting. But you find yourself thinking, would I want to do this for a living? And if the answer is yes, you push the scale up one more notch to the point that most of us would like to arrive at, passion. You don't set aside free time for the subject anymore. The subject is your free time. You cannot wait for work to finish so that you can get back to it. And you've decided that if this is what you get to do with your life, then it's all worth it. It's your dream. It's fun, it's interesting, and above all, it makes you feel like your life is worth it. And there we have it. 5 points on how people naturally get invested in a subject and how just a little bit of curiosity can change the way you live. However, you may have noticed that the scale isn't complete. There's one more point that we haven't touched on. The final point. The point where this isn't just a part of your life, it's your entire life. Your job, your friends, your family, your loved ones, even your own health all fade away in the presence of your absolute passion. This isn't just a dream anymore. This has morphed into your every waking moment. All you can think about is this, and you have to achieve it. It does not matter who gets hurt. It doesn't matter how much you destroy yourself. As long as you achieve your dream, there is no limit on how far you would go to get it. But how far is too far? Released in 2014, Whiplash is the brainchild of Damien Chazelle. The film tells the story of Andrew Neiman, an aspiring drummer enrolled into a prestigious music school. With the goal of becoming one of the greatest jazz drummers in history, his drive leads him to encounter Terence Fletcher, a revered but immensely strict music teacher, who decides to give Andrew a shot in his band. But as Andrew's drive starts to corrupt him, Fletcher's methods of motivating his students threatens to break him entirely. Originally envisioned as a short film released in 2013, Damien wanted to create a film that mirrored his experiences with his old band instructor, with Johnny Simmons cast in the role of Andrew Neiman and J.K. Simmons providing a stellar performance in the role of Terence Fletcher. The film was then entered into the Sundance Film Festival, where it won the Jury's Award for Best Short Film. This success attracted investors who offered him $3.3 million to transform the short film into a full-length feature film. And with the role of Andrew Neiman changing hands from Johnny Simmons to Miles Teller, Whiplash was a resounding success, earning over $50 million at the box office and near universal acclaim, being nominated for Best Picture and winning Best Sound Mixing and Best Editing at the Academy Awards, as well as scoring J.K. Simmons an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. The film is an excellent tale about how the line between passion and obsession can become blurred, and whether the methods to achieve perfection are worth the results, especially when the methods used can be considered manipulative or abusive. The intensity of the film is portrayed beautifully in not only the performances of the main cast, but through the exceptional directing of Damien Chazelle and the phenomenal editing of Tom Cross. In an interview with Film 4, Chazelle states,
It started with the emotion, and then from there it just becomes about, well, how do you capture that? And so we shot it kind of like a thriller, and sort of, it was even plotted as a thriller, and it was very much sort of done in the style of certain 70s kind of paranoid kind of movies that I just personally love and adore.
When you look through the scenes and see how close the camera is to the cast and how long some of the shots will linger, it creates an atmosphere of intense anticipation and stress. A personal favourite scene of mine is the first rehearsal scene. It really helps to set the tone and plays well into Fletcher's character. Just like the band, we the audience are waiting with bated breath every time Fletcher is on screen, just waiting to see what his next move will be and who will be his target. There's a heavy debate surrounding this film about whether Fletcher's actions were justified. Many people have experienced some form of strict instructor, be it in school, college, or a personal project, and the level of strictness and how much someone is willing to put up with varies from person to person. So it's important that the film asks this question, but the answer is left vague. Fletcher inflicts severe emotional distress on all of his students, but especially Andrew. But Andrew keeps pushing himself, striving to be better and better, and by the end of the phenomenal third act, he's clearly earned the respect of Fletcher. But was it really worth it? Did the ends justify the means? To try and find an answer to this question, let's take it from the top. The opening scenes of the film perfectly encapsulate the kind of person Andrew is. From practicing alone in an empty room, to going to the pictures with his dad, to sitting quietly in the back of the class as everyone socializes around him, we start to form the impression that Andrew is a shy, lonely, introverted person questioning his own abilities. In the rehearsal room, we hear chatter about how rough it's been with Andrew on the kit and how everyone's glad to have the core drummer back. Wherever he goes, all he hears and thinks is that he isn't good enough. Even the man he idolizes openly dismissed him. He feels like his life has already stagnated, and it's not an uncommon feeling. A study conducted by Virgin Media indicates that over 60% of British citizens feels like their life isn't going anywhere, with the amount of money, effort, and time being factors holding people back. But whilst the majority of people want to change things like their health, their career, or their social life, Andrew only wants one thing: a chance to prove himself.
That's enough of that. Just back to the core drums, please.
So when Fletcher gives him that opportunity, it's no surprise that he takes it.
Room B16 tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Don't be late.
But the question is, why did Fletcher pick Andrew? There are many different ways to view Terence Fletcher as a character, and one of the most common is as an abuser. The film does not shy away from the parallels between Andrew and Fletcher and abusive relationships. In fact, Andrew's journey into Fletcher's world mirrors that of cult recruitment, with one of the key methods of recruitment being to target the vulnerable. People who are looking for an escape from their current situation, such as drug addicts, teenage runaways, or even something as mundane as people who want to escape the rut they're in, are prime targets for indoctrination. Once that hurdle has been cleared, the next step is to offer validation, and the rehearsal scene sets this up beautifully. Here, we get to see what Fletcher is truly like firsthand. As he tracks his way across the classroom hunting out the out-of-tune member, the tension in the room is palpable. Landing on Metz, he tells him it's okay.
It's okay. Play.
His tone is level, calm, and almost reassuring.
Do you think you're out of tune?
And when Metz finally confesses to his crime, Fletcher reveals his true colors.
Then why the fuck didn't you say so?
Firsthand, Andrew has seen what Fletcher is capable of. And with the knowledge that he's up next,
When we get back, the squeaker's on.
the sense of being out of his depth is clearly building. So how does Fletcher lure him further in? He validates him.
Andrew.
Once in the fold, cults and abusive partners will shower their new members with praise and affection, also known as love bombing. They give them what they've been looking for to ensure that the memory of belonging and validation sticks in their mind. In this scene, Fletcher is kind and sympathetic. He seems genuinely interested in Andrew, something he probably hasn't received in a long time.
What about your mother? What does she do?
I don't know, she left when I was a baby.
And once he's earned his trust, he washes away all of Andrew's fears with one sentence.
You're here for a reason.
Even once they're back in the rehearsal room, he continues to build Andrew up.
Got Buddy Rich here.
Even though Andrew saw what Fletcher is capable of with Metz, Andrew seems absolutely in his element. When someone hears that somebody else has been abusive in the past, or even witnesses it firsthand, personal experience can easily justify the behavior. You start to think, well, they're not like that to me. I must be different. That person must have just deserved it, or done something to cause them to act that way. That won't happen to me. I'm special. They told me so. And once the trap is set, it's near impossible to realize you're in it until it's too late. Fletcher's explosion is a calculated one. After all of the praise and validation he gave Andrew, the first thing he does is gaslight him into second-guessing himself.
Not quite my tempo. It's all good.
Thomas Pridgeon describes some of the methods that Fletcher uses here in an interview with GQ. Methods that the non-musically trained might have missed. From giving him a short count to mess with his timing, forcing him to count in at 4/4 rather than in 7/8, and making him count from 215 BPM. A tempo that is near impossible for someone to count accurately without a metronome.
The tempo he gives them is so short. It's like no one could catch a tempo if it's that short, because it's like you need a little bit of time to like get your little dance on to get the like tempo right, and he gives them no time.
In an instant, all of the support and affability is replaced with hostility and derision, calling him slurs, telling him he's worthless, even physically assaulting him. Yet he still makes it seem like it's all Andrew's fault, accusing him of sabotage, being untalented, and that he's just pretending to be ignorant of Fletcher's demands.
Rushing or dragging?
Rushing.
So you do know the difference!
The question of whether Andrew was rushing or dragging is irrelevant. What matters is that Andrew thinks he was doing one of them and has no clue which.
Answer!
Rushing.
In that moment, the seed of doubt is planted. What Fletcher is doing is monstrous, but that blame he places on Andrew will leave him questioning whether or not he deserved it for the rest of his life. Andrew's tears in this scene aren't for the fact that he's being shouted at, but at his own perceived inadequacy. And even this can't save him from Fletcher's gaslighting.
You must be upset. Are you upset? No. No, so you just don't give a shit about any of this?
And as a final act, all of the things that Fletcher learned about Andrew are instantly used against him.
You are a worthless, friendless, lip little piece of shit whose mommy left daddy when she figured out he wasn't Eugene O'Neill, and who is now weeping and slobbering all over my drum set like a 9-year-old girl.
And with one final sentence, Fletcher makes his view of Andrew overwhelmingly clear.
Start practicing harder, Demon.
It may offer some comfort to know that abuse does eventually end, but unfortunately, abuse isn't linear. It's a cycle. What we just saw bears a close resemblance to the beginning of the cycle of abuse diagram created by Lenore Walker. The building of tension and lashing out were both displayed brutally in the previous scene, with the second half of the cycle being displayed during Andrew's first performance. Try and keep this diagram in mind, because the methods it describes will be displayed a lot through the course of this film. The reason people stay in abusive situations is because through all of the torture and torment, there are those small glimmers of praise and love. And when you've been starved of that for so long, those tiny bits are just enough to keep you trapped. Later on, when Andrew misplaces the folder, Fletcher tears into tenor, not Andrew. And when Andrew steps up to the plate, he's rewarded with a position as the new core member of the band.
Tanner, what are you doing? It's core only today. I don't have time for alternates.
But the folder just being misplaced is far too calculated to be a coincidence. Either Andrew lost the folder by accident, or someone took it on purpose. Someone who would have a lot to gain from putting his drummers in a position like that. And now, Fletcher has a new tool in his pocket if the two of them ever grow some self-esteem, and he needs to remind them of their place.
The folder is your responsibility, Tanner.
The only reason you're a core is because you misplaced a folder.
The message is clear. I gave this to you, and I can take it away again. While it's important to talk about how people are lured into abusive relationships, it's important to look at what happens to people trapped in them, and the second act of the film is a perfect demonstration. According to the National Library of Medicine, there are several studies that suggest that chronic trauma can lead to the change of psychological personality traits, such as increased aggression, depression, distrust, alienation, tendency to withdrawal and isolation, impaired self-protection, and poor social integration. With this in mind, we can see the transformation Andrew undergoes throughout the second act, from shy and introverted to hostile and volatile. And the worst part? We already know what he's going to become, because we've already seen it happen.
Find the f***ing folders!
Carl Tanner is a minor character in the film, but an important one. From his introduction, we get the impression that he's hostile towards anyone he sees as beneath him, like his new alternate. We see the fear instilled in him by Fletcher when he believes that Andrew lost the folder, and his desperation for Fletcher to understand him. But as the film progresses, Andrew slowly starts to replace him as the new core, and Fletcher's object of desire. But is he doing this because he wants to focus on Andrew, or just to break Tanner? Maybe it's both. Like I said earlier, it's possible that Fletcher purposefully took the folder just so he'd have an excuse to mess with Tanner. Unlike Andrew though, Tanner manages to escape permanently, but when Andrew is on the brink of escaping as well, Tanner's escape is framed as a failure.
Tanner switched to pre-med. I guess he got discouraged.
Another key method of abusers is to isolate their victims, stripping them away from their family, their friends, and their loved ones so they have nowhere else to run, and start to rely on their abuser. We already saw Fletcher start to do this during the first rehearsal scene, and throughout the film we see him take as many digs as possible at his family.
No wonder Mommy ran out on you. Get off the f***ing kid.
He starts by telling him that his mum left him because his dad is a failed writer, planting the seed that his dad is holding him back. In Andrew's mind, his dad is mundane, an underachiever who settled for a mediocre life, whilst Andrew aspires to greatness. During the dinner scene, we see how Andrew starts to push away his family.
So how's the drumming going, Nanny?
They're clearly trying to take an interest in his passion, but they just don't understand. Unlike his cousin, a star football player in this college, who they don't just have an interest in, but a palpable excitement for.
Oh, hey, are you going to tell him about your game this week? Huh? Living up to your title?
This probably isn't new in Andrew's life. The Huffington Post describes the phenomenon of the loser sibling, a term popularized by the Netflix show Nobody Wants This. It describes how people who are labeled as inferior to their relatives suffer from social symptoms such as overcompensation, shame, and sabotaging your relationships and yourself. Traits that Andrew, with the ego and distrust Fletcher supplied him with, makes very clear.
That's what this is all about? You think you're better than us?
Catch on quick, are you in model event?
Remember, Andrew has just been made the core drummer of the top band in the most prestigious music school in the country. So to hear his family gloss over his achievements or tell them they're not as important as he thinks they are, Andrew's animosity towards his family is growing.
Got any friends, Andy?
No.
Oh, why's that?
Despite his family's reasonable claims that having friends and building connections is healthy, Andrew dismisses it.
But your friends will remember you. That's the point.
None of us were friends with Charlie Parker. That's the point.
And when somebody outright questions his dream, he immediately lashes out. Even when his own dad tries to reason with him about where this path is leading him, Andrew openly embraces it.
Dying broke and drunk and full of heroin at the age of 34 is not exactly my idea of success.
I'd rather die drunk, broke at 34 and have people at a dinner table talk about me than live to be rich and sober at 90 and nobody remember who I was.
In my opinion, this statement wasn't just his own stance of what success is, but a passing shot at his father, a man who did settle, who did accept mundanity. Keep in mind, I am not saying that a quiet life is a bad one. I'm saying that's what Andrew thinks. And when he finally stands to leave the table, it cements his separation from his family. He doesn't need them anymore. He's got Fletcher. The isolation begins to spread. And now that Fletcher has successfully isolated him from his family, it's time to move on to his classmates.
Am I late?
Ryan Connolly is the core drummer in Nassau, the band below Studio Band, who Andrew was the alternate for. From our first impressions of him, we know he's the popular kid in school, but he isn't your stereotypical jock. He's friendly, he's cheerful, and he seems like the kind of person you just want to be around simply because he's just nice. In the first scene with him in Nassau, he's actively trying to cheer Andrew up, telling him not to let the others get to him. Ironically, he's the closest thing Andrew has to a friend, and the two of them could easily form a close bond. Fletcher can't let that happen, so he makes Connolly the enemy. Immediately using Andrew as a point of comparison, calling him a temporary core, and implying that the chart isn't up to snuff because of him, Andrew is instantly put into competition with Ryan. Not to build up Ryan, but to tear down Andrew, starving him of the approval that Fletcher provided him, and make him believe that Ryan is stealing his part. When he believes he's truly lost his approval, he lashes out.
Oh my god, are you serious? Thanks. That
Even when Ryan tries to comfort him, he pushes him away.
I can play these charts. I'm not. Why would you do that?
Not the time, I swear to God.
I can play it, okay?
Said not now!
Fletcher's dismissal of Andrew may not be a calculated move, but it does push Andrew further into isolation. Without the ability to appeal to Fletcher, his only choice is to prove himself on the kit, and to do so, he can't have any distractions.
This is why I don't think that we should be together.
Andrew's breakup with Nicole is the last hurdle in truly isolating Andrew, and shows how deep into his obsession he's become. Sticking to the belief that the only way to succeed in his goals is through total dedication, he lays out the timeline as he sees it, completely ignorant to Nicole's feelings. When she repeats what he said back to him, she frames it as if Andrew's failures are her fault.
You know I would stop you from doing that. You know that for a fact.
Something that Andrew doesn't even have the tact to deny. She even brings up the fact that Andrew is already neglecting her.
And I'd barely see you anyway.
And with one final monologue, she lays out exactly how far Andrew has fallen.
And when I did see you, you treat me like shit because I'm just some girl who doesn't know what she wants, and you have a path, and you're going to be great, and I'm going to be forgotten, and therefore you won't be able to give me the time of day because you have bigger things to pursue.
The speech isn't to highlight her own perceived inadequacy, but to try and get Andrew to see what he's becoming. How isolating himself in pursuit of total dedication will not help him achieve his goal, because in his mind, the only way he can achieve it is through Fletcher's approval. Giving him one final chance to see what's happening to him, all Andrew can say is,
That's exactly my point.
What the f*** is wrong with you?
Andrew has fallen so thoroughly for the trap that he can't even see that he's in it. And unfortunately, even though you know someone is suffering, when you keep failing to get through to them, sometimes it feels like all you can do is give up.
You're right, we should not be dating.
With Andrew now completely alone, his anger and fear takes complete hold of him, relentlessly practicing to the point of total self-destruction, cursing himself constantly for not being good enough. During the next rehearsal, we can see how broken Andrew has become. He doesn't just look tired, he looks dead. His skin is pale and sunken in, and the bags under his eyes are near pure black. And now that his project is coming to fruition, it's time for Fletcher to play his next hand.
Guys, just put your instruments down for a minute.
Abuse in relationships isn't constant. A reason a lot of people stay trapped is because of the small displays of humanity their abuser allows them to see. Fletcher telling the class the story of Sean Casey allows them to see a deeper side to Fletcher, and he allows himself to almost break down in tears at the news of Sean's death.
Sean died yesterday in a car accident.
It really helps to humanize him, right?
And I just...
Listen to the way he talks about Sean in this scene.
And when he graduated, Marsalis made him third trumpet at Lincoln Center. A year later, he was first. And that's who you're listening to now.
Not once does he actually praise Sean as a person, instead talking about his achievements and his drive, a drive that Andrew himself has. And at the end of his speech, he gives his students hope, showing them that even though his methods are extreme, the results speak for themselves. You can even see in Andrew's expression that there is a small glimmer of hope that maybe he could be the next Sean Casey. Starting the rehearsal of Caravan, he immediately tells Ryan that he didn't play it right, and offers Andrew the chance to earn the part. In most underdog stories, this would be the moment where the student and the teacher truly connect and ride off on the wings of success. Instead, we learn the true reason he opened up to his students. Not to relate to his class, but to weaponize their sympathy. And with that weapon in hand, he indulges in his most sadistic game yet. For the next 5 hours, he mercilessly tortures his 3 drummers, constantly throwing insults at them whilst pushing them to their breaking point. And the irony is, Fletcher already knows who he wants to play the part. He just needs to make sure that they're broken enough to accept it. It won't be Tenor. You can see in his face how exhausted he is. He's trying to please Fletcher, but it's clear that he just wants this sadism session to be over, and at this point he doesn't care which of them gets it. It won't be Connolly. You can see in his face that he's in open defiance of Fletcher, adjusting his seat height and looking Fletcher dead in the eyes with a look of pure venom. He's not giving in to Fletcher, he's there to play drums, not impress this narcissist. Andrew is tired, broken, but highly motivated. His anger isn't directed at Fletcher, but at his fellow drummers. He won't let this session end unless he's the victor. And with that knowledge, Fletcher puts him through one final test.
Maybe it's time to finally bring this home. What do you say?
Whilst he cut every other attempt beforehand within seconds, this attempt goes on for a staggering 1 minute and 20 seconds. Fletcher constantly piles on pressure, banging a cowbell in Andrew's ear to throw off his timing, screaming for him to go faster, destroying the kit as Andrew plays. He isn't trying to break Andrew, he already knows he's broken him. He just needs to find out how thoroughly broken he is. When Fletcher finally calls for it to stop, blood coats the kit. The 3 drummers drenched in sweat, and Andrew is hunched over the kit looking as if he's about to collapse. You can even see the expression on Ryan's face when it's finally over. A look of, how could you do this to him? As the abuse continues, the amount of validation needed to keep the victim in check becomes smaller and smaller. And with how deep Andrew has fallen into Fletcher's games, all Fletcher needs to say is,
Neiman, you weren't a part.
And when you've been trapped so effectively and broken so thoroughly, the only way to go is down. As the bus Andrew is taking to the concert hall breaks down, his desperation is palpable. His fear of losing this part, and more importantly, his fear of losing Fletcher's approval, is driving him to insanity. Taking out a rental car just to make it on time, for a split second we can see that in his haste, he left his sticks behind. Finally arriving at the concert hall, Fletcher nonchalantly addresses him as Andrew tries to apologize. But then, Fletcher drops the bombshell.
Connolly's playing the part.
Yeah, like hell he's playing my part.
Initially in denial, he tries to play it off. But when he realizes that Fletcher is serious, his fear manifests as anger.
No, I didn't. Look, you can't do this, Karen.
He does his best to stand up to Fletcher, but it's for nothing. Fletcher spends all of the time gaslighting him and downplaying his justifiable anger at this unfairness.
You never earned anything. God, you are a self-righteous f***. The only reason you're a f***ing core is because you misplaced a folder. The only reason you're in studio band to begin with is because I told you exactly what I'd be asking for in Nassau.
And it is hypocritical. Early on, when Ryan asks for Andrew's sticks in order to secure the part, Fletcher says nothing. But all of a sudden, Andrew asking to borrow Ryan's is unacceptable.
Look, I can use Ryan's sticks.
Neiman, you lost the f***ing part.
No,
But even though Andrew directs his anger at Fletcher, he still has plenty left for Ryan.
Back off, bro. Off, Johnny Utah. Turn my pages, bitch.
He doesn't view it as Fletcher giving the part to Ryan, he views it as Ryan stealing the part from him. And even when Fletcher tries to get him back under control, for a brief moment, Andrew's rage allows him to finally see through what Fletcher has done.
Hey, I can cut you any f***ing time I want.
You would have cut me by now.
Try me, you f***ing weasel.
But even then, it isn't enough to break the spell, as Fletcher gives him an ultimatum.
If your ass is not on that stool with your own f***ing sticks in hand, or if you make one f***ing mistake, one, I will drum your ass back to Nassau where you can turn pages until you graduate or f***ing drop out. Or we can let Johnny Utah play the part.
The threat isn't about keeping him in the band. Instead, he's saying that you can either keep your place by my side, or you can become just like Tenor. And given how far in Andrew is at this point, and the fear that he'll lose the last thing he has left, the choice comes as no surprise.
That's my part. I'll be on your stage.
Rushing back to the rental lot, he grabs his sticks and rushes back to the concert hall, his eyes constantly darting to the inbuilt clock in his car as it counts down to showtime. Andrew's obsession with his place under Fletcher's wing, his sacrifice of everything else in pursuit of his goal. It's a path that very few people follow all the way to the end. Because the only thing that's there to greet them is total annihilation. Even when he's been broken so thoroughly, both physically and mentally, he still tries to push onwards. The pain can wait. The driver of the semi-truck desperately tries to get Andrew to stay so he can get help. But Andrew's desperation to retain Fletcher's approval is far too strong. Grabbing his sticks from the wreckage, he stumbles his way to the concert hall, eventually making it on stage. Both Tenor and Connolly can see the state Andrew's in, and Ryan even tries to get Fletcher to do something. But Andrew wants to play. He has to play. And for Fletcher, that's good enough. Andrew valiantly attempts to play, but the pain won't allow him to perform, dropping his sticks, missing his hits, and eventually succumbing to the pain, hunched over the kit, unable to continue. Calling a premature end to the performance, Fletcher's imposing figure looms over Andrew, still hunched over the kit, struggling for breath. With this, Fletcher delivers his harshest, most devastating words. There are no swears, no shouting,
Demon.
no insults. Just 2 words.
You're done. You're done. You're done. You're done.
Andrew has lost everything. His family has been pushed away. His girlfriend hates him. And he's gone out of his way to ensure that his classmates want nothing to do with him. And now that his dream has crumbled to dust before him, he has nothing left. Mentally, socially, physically. So with nothing left to lose, he's going to make sure that he takes the man responsible for all of this down with him. Dragged away from the stage, cursing the man who ruined him, the camera focuses on the drum kit, coated in blood. A symbol of everything that Andrew has sacrificed for a world he can no longer return to. Abusive relationships are a horrific part of life, but there are times where people can finally escape. Unfortunately, a piece of them, no matter how small, will always remain in their trauma. And for some, it's enough to drag them back. A study conducted on 104 women residing in an interpersonal violence facility found that 66.3% of them returned to their abusers, with almost all of them returning multiple times. Factors like fear, control, guilt, and the abuser promising to reform all contribute to luring their victims back in. With this perspective in mind, let's take a look at a third act. The story of Sean Casey that Fletcher told was an aspirational tale for Andrew, and gave him the belief that if he followed the path, then he could receive the same level of respect and reverence. But the story wasn't something to aspire to, but instead a prediction of how Andrew's life would play out.
Sean died yesterday. In a car accident.
We see him roaming his apartment, throwing away his old memorabilia and retiring his drumming kit, trying to move on from a world he no longer belongs to. But even after all of the trauma he's gone through, he's still attached to Fletcher, going as far as to try and excuse his actions, and even blaming his father for it.
Why would you do this to me?
He still can't let go of the old world. So instead of letting him believe in the idea of Sean Casey, they let him know the real Sean.
Last month he hanged himself in his apartment.
The message is clear. You were not the first, and if he isn't stopped, you won't be the last. After everything he's done, the friends he fought, the family he pushed aside, his dad is still there to remind him that he's not alone.
Do you think that I would let him put my son through hell and then just walk away scot-free? Don't you know I would never let that happen? That there is nothing in the world more important to me than you. Don't you know that? Don't you know that?
And despite his ties to Fletcher, he swallows his fear, his pride, and he finally makes the conscious decision to let go.
Just tell me what to say.
And maybe then, after the dust has settled, he can finally move on.
Andrew.
The debate about whether Fletcher is justified in his actions stems from this scene, where he clues Andrew into his worldview. He claims he believes that he was misunderstood, and that he was trying to push people to be better.
Any moron can wave his arms and keep people in tempo. I was there to push people beyond what's expected of them.
It's a very humanizing scene for him, and whilst Andrew sits and listens, Fletcher tells him the story of Charlie Parker.
Parker's a young kid, pretty good on the sax, gets up to play at a cutting session, then he f***s it up.
His claim is that because of how harsh Joe Jones was on him, it pushed him to practice harder. If Jones would have just said,
"Well, that's okay, Charlie. That was all right. Good job."
Fletcher believes that Parker would have never become the greatest jazz player in the world, finally ending his speech with,
"There are no two words in the English language more harmful than good job."
The answer to whether Fletcher's methods are justified is purposefully left vague, with Andrew himself questioning it.
But is there a line?
So the answer to the question is going to be a personal one. So for this next section, it's all my opinion. So do I think Fletcher was justified? Not in the slightest. Listen to Fletcher's answer.
No, man, no. Because the next Charlie Parker would never be discouraged.
Fletcher is misunderstanding what drove Charlie Parker here. If someone would never be discouraged, then the methods Fletcher employs aren't necessary. Furthermore, Fletcher claims he was pushing people beyond what's expected of them. But even if he believes that's true, he doesn't understand the difference between what's expected and what's possible. Instead of helping someone push past their limits, he discards them once he thinks he's reached them. And this gets to the core of who Fletcher is. He doesn't see people as people. He sees them as functions. He takes no accountability for how his methods affect his students. He lied to the class about Sean's death because he didn't want to accept that he might have played a part in it. He ignored Andrew's physical state after the accident because if he can still play, he doesn't care. Even his answer to Andrew's question is just an excuse to avoid accountability. Throughout this entire conversation, he never once talks about how brilliant Charlie Parker and Joe Jones were as people, only their musical ability. And if you need further evidence of Fletcher's view on people, never once through this entire conversation, trying to humanize himself, does he actually apologize to Andrew. Moreover, Fletcher's methods of constant torment and abuse will only lead one way. We saw this with Sean, and we almost saw it with Andrew. If someone spends their whole career thinking they're not good enough, then it doesn't matter how hard they practice or what they achieve, they will never be good enough in their own minds. You should always strive to improve in your craft, but it's healthy to accept good enough and take pride in your own accomplishments. And the only way to do that is to praise them and let them know that they are doing well. Criticism is welcome, even harsh criticisms, but it should always be tempered with positive affirmation. Fletcher does not believe in this method and will only focus on the negative. Is it any wonder that his students either leave or break themselves? Finally, the reason I don't buy Fletcher's explanation is because it's not to excuse himself, but to trap Andrew again. Fletcher's speech is one I never trusted, but when I saw the film for the first time, a tiny voice in the back of my head was telling me, well, maybe he does have a point. Maybe he has changed. This is how people end up trapped all over again. His phrasing of the story implies that Charlie Parker would never have been a great musician if not for Joe Jones's methods of motivation, and he's saying this to Andrew so Andrew relates it to his own experiences with Fletcher. If he didn't do what he did to Andrew, then Andrew would never become a great drummer. Even when he says he never had a Charlie Parker, he's trying to guilt Andrew into becoming his Charlie Parker, to accept all of the things he did to him, reframing the abuse that Andrew went through as for his own benefit. And when they step outside to end the night, he makes one final move to lure Andrew back into the trap.
Listen, I have no idea how you're going to take this, but the band I'm leading for JVC, my drummer is not cutting it.
It's important to note that Fletcher never directly asks Andrew to join the band at JVC. Instead, he belittles his current drummer and phrases what he's looking for as the person Andrew is or was. The two of them have just had a long talk where they were framed as equals discussing art. And now that Fletcher's been able to re-establish contact and humanize himself, the process of luring him in and manipulating him can start all over again. But this time, Andrew has a resistance to it.
What about Ryan Conley?
When Andrew tries to suggest somebody else, Fletcher frames his situation as Andrew being the only person who can help him.
All Connolly ever was to me was incentive for you.
Keep in mind, since he started at Schaefer, he's been playing second fiddle to Ryan, and Fletcher even put the two in direct competition. So telling him that Connolly was never important is a huge boost to Andrew's ego. When he mentions Tanner
switched to pre-med. I guess he got discouraged.
He frames it as Tanner failing to do better. He's basically saying, Tanner got discouraged. But you won't, will you? You're better than Tanner, right? And before Andrew can even give a yes or no, Fletcher leaves him to stew in the prospect of returning to his world.
Take the weekend and think about it.
Andrew still longs for the world that was taken from him, but he doesn't remember all the pain he suffered in it, or at least is choosing to ignore it. We see Andrew start to bring his old stuff out of the closet. In fact, his actions here mirror what he did at the start of the film where he first got his shot. He asks out Nicole.
Hey, Nicole, it's Andrew.
But even then, she gives him the simple reminder that the world has moved on without him.
I was sent to check with my boyfriend.
What took months to do in the first place has only taken a few days. All Andrew has left is Fletcher. Well, almost. That tiny look of pride in his eyes where he sees his dad showed up for his performance does show that he's aware that there is more to this than just Fletcher. It's his shot to prove that he can accept the role with care.
All right, gang, listen up. Now, for those of you who are
Fletcher's speech is in stark contrast to his speech at his first performance at the Overbrook Jazz Competition. He delivers his speech calmly and affably, telling the band all of the opportunities that await them if they perform well. However, his words are punctuated with a warning.
On the other hand, if you drop the ball, you might be looking for a new line of work, because the other thing about these cats is they never forget.
Mirroring the start of the film again, the speech closely resembles the talk he had with Andrew before his first rehearsal, giving him a false sense of security before taking it all away. But this method is even more extreme. To Andrew, this is his last chance to make it. If he backs out now, he will never become a jazz drummer. Moreover, he's trapped in the venue with all of these other musicians whose reputation will also be tarnished if he backs out. Without even realizing it, he's walked straight into Fletcher's trap. And once Andrew walks on stage, Fletcher reminds him once more that he can take everything from him.
You think I'm stupid?
What?
I know it was you.
do some old standards for you, but first we're going to start out with a new tune by Tim Simonek called Upswingin'.
Andrew desperately tries to play along without knowing the song or having the chart, but his efforts are in vain. His bandmate shoots him looks of derision and the bassist next to him derides him for his lack of talent. When an abuse victim acts out without proper context of their situation, people can be led to believe that it's a problem with them. The victim takes the blame, and their abuser walks away scot-free. His bandmates don't know that Fletcher set him up. They just think that he's unprepared or untalented. Fletcher just keeps conducting as if he did nothing wrong, leaving Andrew to face the humiliation alone. As the audience gives a hesitant clap, Fletcher reminds him once more how he truly views him.
Yeah, I guess maybe you don't have it.
Once again, Fletcher took everything from Andrew. And with the world he wished for crumbling to dust once more, the only thing he can do is leave. And thankfully, someone's waiting there for him. No matter how much he tried to push his family away, when he was at his lowest, his dad never abandoned him. And knowing that he isn't alone, Andrew has been given the opportunity to heal and move past his trauma. But he just can't.
What are you doing?
Now we're going to slow it down a little bit. I'm guessing most of you folks have heard of it.
Even though he was given the perfect opportunity to get out, Andrew decides to take full control of the situation. Cueing the basis for Caravan, Fletcher has no choice but to play along. A small bit of power that Andrew is going to take full advantage of. Even when Fletcher tries his best to re-establish dominance, Andrew makes his position very clear. I'm here to perform, and you will not stop me. Even when his plaything is deliberately defying him, Fletcher can't help but enjoy himself. It's a strong end to the film. With one last act, Andrew gets to confront his own perceived shortcomings, giving the performance that he failed to give the first time round, and finally live out his dream one last time. What an ending. But it doesn't stop. Andrew refuses to stop, continuing to play to his captive audience. As the crowd and his fellow bandmates watch on, Fletcher, in the only possible moment of concern he's ever shown, voices everyone's confusion.
Andrew, what are you doing, man? I'll cue you.
He continues to play, refusing to let this moment pass him. Drumming until his hands bleed and sweat soaks his skin, the soundtrack fades away. Andrew has made his choice. He looks as if his body's about to give out, but he won't stop. He can't stop. He has chosen this world now, and he will happily die in it. And as the solo continues, Fletcher's words start to ring dangerously prophetic.
And he steps up on that stage and he plays the best motherfucking solo the world has ever heard.
As this broken man commits himself fully to drumming, his abuser finally sees what he's been looking for and begins to retake control. Never missing an instruction, Andrew plays perfectly to Fletcher's tempo. And as each command is followed with diligence, his father can only look on in horror at the son he no longer has. And as the solo finally comes to an end, Andrew looks to Fletcher one last time. So that's it, right? Andrew got what he wanted and Fletcher finally respects him? This isn't an uncommon sentiment amongst some viewers, and I can understand how someone would come to that conclusion. But this isn't a happy ending. Damien himself comments on how he sees the aftermath of the performance. Fletcher will always think he won, and Andrew will be a sad, empty shell of a person and will die in his 30s of a drug overdose. I have a very dark view of where it goes. Andrew didn't escape his abuser through his passion. He became permanently trapped in it through his obsession. His father will keep trying to get through to him, but every time, he'll keep going back to Fletcher. It doesn't matter what bands he plays in. It doesn't matter how successful he becomes. It doesn't matter how many people will remember him when he's finally gone. It will never be enough. He'll always feel like a failure. And whenever he comes close to escaping, Fletcher will be right there to start the cycle all over again with nothing more than a tiny piece of validation. It's just like Fletcher said. There are no two words in the English language more harmful than good job. Whiplash is a film that deeply resonates with me, and what I love most about it is how well it portrays how people can end up in abusive situations, as this video has hopefully shown. In my life, I've seen too many people I know end up in abusive situations, and I've seen the toll it can take on them. With that in mind, I've thought of many different ways I could end this video, and I feel like the best is to talk directly to the audience. If you feel stuck in a situation you think you can't escape from, or you know someone who is, there is help out there. For UK residents, Refuge offers support and information to women and children who have suffered from domestic abuse, as well as useful information on how to support someone you worry could be a victim, with the Men's Advice line offering a similar service to male victims. Both services also offer information on how to file a non-molestation order if you believe someone you know is truly at risk. For US citizens, even in the wake of the government shutdown, the National Domestic Violence Hotline remains open. It's a national service that offers support via phone, text, or online chat, as well as a list of coalitions for your local state if you need something closer to home. All services listed are free and confidential, with safety and privacy being the top priority. So if you ever feel trapped or unable to help somebody, don't feel afraid to reach out. Abuse is a horrific factor in society that leaves victims feeling isolated, unloved, and like they deserve the abuse. But with support, care, empathy, and love, we can help victims escape. And we can help victims heal. So please, no matter how trapped you feel, and no matter how hopeless it seems, try your best to remember, you're not alone. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking around till the very end. This video was longer than anything I've attempted in the past and was more technical than anything I've attempted, so the fact that you're still here really does mean a lot to me. If you're looking for more content about Whiplash, I recommend this video by Nomad called Whiplash vs. Jazz. It's a video that sort of details the reaction from the jazz community about the film, and it's kind of fascinating to see like what these professionals genuinely thought of it. And if it wasn't for him, I also wouldn't have found the Thomas Pridgeon clip I used in Act 2, so thanks very much for that, Nomad, I owe you one. Also, did you like any of the music that you heard in this video that wasn't from the film? Because if you did, then all of that is going to be available to download on my SoundCloud for free to use in your own personal projects. All I ask is just for a credit in the description, or just some way to let people know that it was mine, effectively. And yeah, with all that, This was a very heavy topic as well, and I'm really glad you stuck around this long. So if you did enjoy, then a like and subscribe would go a long way. I'm really getting into this whole video essay thing, and I've already got some ideas on where to take this channel now, where I want to go with it, the topics I want to cover, so stick around for that. It's going to be fun. Yeah, I guess there's nothing less to say other than thank you again, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.